The New York Nonprofit Press, the industry standard for nonprofits, is a must-read for over 20,000 New York City and state executives. Those who know the nonprofit world count on the NYNP to deliver breaking news and get messages across into the nonprofit industry. Ads can be placed in our paper, daily emails, or on our website. For more information, visit nynp.biz or email publisher@nynp.biz. The New York Nonprofit Press, serving people who serve people.
Good morning. This is Ron Gold from Marketing Works. The name of the radio show is The Nonprofit Voice, and you are listening to a commercial for our favorite sponsor, the New York Nonprofit Press. And I thank them for being a sponsor with us. They are a magazine, newspaper for the nonprofit industry, and they do a great job. Also doing a great job is Lance Elder, who I know for about, I hate to say this, over 40 years. And we were both in different careers. I was at WALK Radio, and he was at the Nassau Coliseum, which pretty soon might be redone. Anyway, but we're here for the EAC Network, and Lance is the CEO of the EAC Network, and he has grown EAC tremendously in times of, it's a tough time because the government has cut down on a lot of the funding, and each of the agencies, and Marketing Works works with about 12 different nonprofit agencies, and we see them all working. Some of them are working together and doing programs together where at a time they wouldn't even be in the same room together. But again, when you have no choice, this is what you have to do, is find ways to get a revenue stream, whether it's through fundraising events or different programs that you put together. Now, Lance, welcome. Tell us about EAC.
Ron, thank you. Thanks for having us again. We've been here before, and I appreciate you having us here one more time, and I appreciate your friendship over the years. It's we go way back, as you correctly identify. I don't know if it was 40 years, but it's close to it. EAC Network is an agency that's almost 45 years old. It was started by three women up in Port Washington who saw that there were children in the Port Washington School District that were being not served in an appropriate way. They needed help. So they started helping these young people. And from that small start, EAC now has grown to almost a $22 million company. I say company, we are a legitimate 501c3 not-for-profit registered with the state and the federal government. And we have well over 65,000 clients. We have more than 70 different programs of all varying types. I have been doing this now for some 17 years, Ron, if you can believe it.
Wow.
And when I first came in to the agency as its CEO, it struck me that there were a number of different things that we needed to do. When I walked in, we were about $10.3 million. So we've grown significantly since then. We've grown not only in terms of the monetary basis, but we've also grown in terms of programming. At the time, I think we had 32 programs. So we've doubled that. We've doubled the revenues. We've doubled the size of the company. We have something on the order of about 450 employees. We have another 250 volunteers. Sometimes we get that up to around 300, depending on the programs that we have to offer. I think one of the things that is unique about EAC is the variety of programming that we offer. Some people think that it's that we just want to go and take and do programs regardless of what they are, but that's the furthest thing from the truth.
I think one of the things before you came, and I've had this conversation with you, branding-wise, that when you heard EAC, you thought, well, this has something to do with education, and it's probably the school systems or something like that. That was my feeling before I knew you and before I got to know what you've been doing there and all the programs and having you on the radio shows and the different people that work for you have been on here. But I think that the branding problem you might have had in the past, I don't think is as much out there now.
I think, to one extent or another, I think you're right, Ron. I think branding has been an issue. We have gone through numerous name changes over the 40-plus years that we've been in operation. It started out as the Education Assistance Center, plural, singular, because there was nobody else doing anything but doing education. As the company grew, it went through various name changes. EAC, Education Assistance Centers, Education Assistance Corporation, which was one of the more recent names. And the problem with that, when you say Education Assistance Corporation, people immediately think that we're a for-profit, and we're not. And what we did was we have gone through various changes, as I indicated, and you certainly know this because of our relationship. I think we have gone and gotten away from that definition of education as being one of the criteria, because quite frankly, we don't do educational stuff anymore. We do a lot with the incarcerated. We do a lot of programming with them. We do a lot with youth. We do a lot with young people. We do a lot with seniors. So the variety of programming that we now do has grown immensely.
Well, I think in your field now, just the acronyms and EAC is what you really should be concentrating on. I've seen this in so many agencies that I work with, and first you'd say, well, there's ADD, there's ACDS, there's EPIC, there's, that's the way the agencies are going now. And then with their tagline, you don't even need education in there, because I think that part, might take it away. And I'm not going to give you a lesson on branding, although I did write an article for the nonprofit press on
it was
branding.
very good, by the way.
Oh, thanks. But, I mean, that's the way I know you as EAC, and I don't even think of education, because I think of all these 70 programs that you run, and you serve 68,000 people. Wow, that's huge.
Yeah, I'm proud of it, and it's I think one of the things that we have been accused of, shall we say, over time, is that we, in fact, just take on any program, regardless of what it's about. And that's people's perception of us.
Yeah, but why would you take on any program if there's the perception? Okay, that's their perception.
Yeah,
but
it's people's perception in the field. It started out being that way, and when I started getting involved with some of the umbrella groups that are around for covering all of the not-for-profits, and you well know there are a lot of not-for-profits on Long Island, I started explaining to folks that, look, what we want to do is we want to have a wide base. We don't want to be in a silo situation. We want to be a wide-ranging agency that helps our clients. An example, we have been doing job training for many, many years, and we would help people not only get trained for a particular position. We would help them with their resumes, with all of the things necessary to get a job. One of my board members suggested a number of years ago that maybe they could donate some clothes that individuals could then wear to go to interviews so that they would present better. So we started a program for that. Then one of the biggest problems on Long Island, obviously, is, and particularly out in Suffolk, is transportation. How does one get from one's home, drop off their kids at school and or daycare, then go to their job and then come back? If you don't have a car, it's really difficult. I mean, there's some limited buses available, but
and
it's
those the rides where they go. I mean, it makes no sense. It's
Exactly.
not like we took a bus in Queens Boulevard and it went down Queens Boulevard. This one goes through the malls and down some streets that you don't know. I mean, it's ridiculous.
It was really crazy. So we got together with the state. And with Nassau and Suffolk County, and we've given away something approaching 450 cars to families. Now, that's not 450.
Wow.
That's not just 450 individuals. That's families. That's families, so that the individual can then drive and take their children to the dock. They can take them to school. They can take them to daycare without it taking them 3 hours to accomplish that.
And how do they qualify for these cars?
Well, this is an old program. Unfortunately, it's not been funded in a while. But it was really checked out. We had staff, and actually one of the directors that's here with me today was involved in it. It was her program, and we would send people into the home, and we would check it out based on recommendations from Nassau and Suffolk County Departments of Social Services. was a terrific program. The first car that we gave away was a van. Gave it away to this mom, and she had a couple of kids. And they got in the van. She was crying, and she was happy that she now has a mode of transportation. And we realized that there was no car seats for those children. So we started a car seat program.
Right.
And so it's this world grows. And again, the director that was doing the cars is now doing the car seats. So I think people have this, or used to have an impression that we would take on anything. We didn't. We took on things that were linked to our clients.
But when you think of EAC, just like when you think of some of the other agencies, and I'll give you, for instance, we could talk about EPIC, or Epilepsy Foundation of Long Island, which now has a mental health program that goes with it, because they had to be more in order to survive. When I think of you, when I think of EAC, I think of substance abuse. I think of mental health. I think of some of those programs. Now, is that how you want people to think of you? I mean, because people think, oh, it's EAC. It's, that's what they spend most of their time on.
Unfortunately, I'm not sure how to get around that, Ron. But I mean, people get a perception of us. I mean, we have, as an agency, we now cover Nassau, Suffolk, Brooklyn, Queens, Bronx, Staten Island, Rockland County. We just started a big program in Manhattan. So we've got the entire metropolitan area covered, quite frankly. And many of those programs are substance abuse. They are involve the court system. They involve many, many different areas. And we have, as of late, we've gotten significantly into the world of the mentally ill. And oftentimes the mentally ill have substance abuse issues, because the mentally ill, unfortunately, when they receive prescribed medication, more often than not, they don't like how it makes them feel at some point in time. They stop taking their prescribed medication, they start taking street drugs. So the two are interwoven often with our clients.
Are you working with homeless? Are you working with veterans?
Yes.
Are you working with PTSD? Are you working
all
with
of the above? It's quite challenging, but the work is extraordinary, and I'm blessed with a terrific a group of people that work for me. I can't say enough about them. I think one of the crimes of the not-for-profit world, particularly in the social services, and many of my folks have, almost all of them have bachelor's degrees. Many of them have master's degrees. We have a bunch of PhDs. I never feel that I can pay them enough for the work that they do, for the study that they put in, but they're so dedicated. I'd like to think they're somewhat dedicated to EAC, which is probably true, but at the same time, they're dedicated to the work.
And they're dedicated to the field. And
yeah.
What I see and work, I've told you that I've worked with 12 different nonprofit agencies in the metropolitan area, some in the Bronx and Brooklyn and Queens, Manhattan, and a lot on Long Island, is that their employee recognition days are huge. The 20 years, 25 years. How do people stay in this industry so long in these jobs? They love it. It's a commitment from them, and I'm not taking anything away from EAC because they have their people like that, but it just seems to be that that's the field and they love doing it. And it's a credit to you to keep them there and to keep growing these programs. Now, let me ask you another question. EAC has been by itself, but it keeps... Are they tying in with other agencies? Are they doing things together with agencies as ways to save money?
Back office, yeah.
Because I'm seeing a lot of that going on right now.
I wish there were more. I think we have merged with some smaller agencies, I should say, over time.
Right.
And that to me, I think, is a way for us to go. I think the thing that we look at is we run as a professional organization, as a business organization, not for profit business, but a business organization. So we have a great finance department. We have a great human resources department. We have a great marketing department. So if one were to take just that component out of the concern area of a smaller agency, makes life easier for them and potentially more productive. I think it's the way to go.
It has to be the way to go, because what's happening is the smaller agencies can't survive. And they usually are agencies that have been started because of situations, and the people that are on the board of these smaller agencies are people that started being on the board because they were the founders.
Well,
the
founder syndrome is
founder
absolute.
syndrome, and they have the hardest time about merging because, hey, I started this. I've been doing this for 20 years. I'm seeing it with some larger agencies that really can't get out of their own way because of their board. They don't have a good board.
Yeah.
And because they don't have a good board, when the subject comes up, and I just heard the subject last week where it made so much sense for these two agencies to at least work together. You don't have to merge. You just have to work together. This way, EAC keeps their name and Agency A keeps their name. But you know what? You're sharing expenses now, and that's how you're going to survive.
We do that. We do that frequently, and I think that is at least what must be considered today. I think the merger potential continues to exist. Some people aren't thrilled with the concept, as you described. It's called the founder syndrome,
right?
And I think it's unfortunate because what it does do. And I had a conversation with an agency some time ago with their director, and she was a co-founder, and we talked about merging. Actually, had some common board members, and so I met on several occasions with this particular individual, and she was asking all the wrong questions, and eventually walked away from the potential for a merger. That organization is now defunct. It's failed.
I've seen it, yeah.
And it's happening too much, and there's no reason that it should have.
I think keeping their own name, letting them keep their name in some way.
Absolutely.
I mean, look at Epic and South Shore right
Yep.
now. South Shore still has their name. They have a management agreement. I don't know when it's going to go through, but they keep putting that part off because of South Shore.
Yeah.
And because of, I think her name is Meredith, the one who is active in it. They've done so much for so long, they don't want to just see it go away. So don't let it go away.
So
You
don't
have to. Right.
You don't have to let it go.
But we've seen some of the bigger agencies tell you that it's not, and then they just suck you right in.
Yeah.
But you do have some board members that you want to mention, one being Bobby Nystrom that we just talked about who just joined your board, and that's great. I mean, that does a lot when you see somebody of his magnitude take out an agency because everybody wants him to be on their agency.
I think over time, I have to say, we've always had a good board. I would submit to you that we have a great board right now. Certainly Bobby is one of our newest members. We have a number of attorneys. Some people might be turned off by that, but I think it's an extraordinary wealth of information that's available to me. We have CPAs. We have an international forensic auditor who's on our board. We have real estate specialists, guys that own companies. I mean, big companies. Carmine and Sarah is one of the principals in NAI Long Island. Big company. And he's there as a resource to me. And Bobby Nystrom, and we have people from the media. We used to have somebody from Newsday. We're going to replace that individual. We've radio personalities.
That's great.
That's
a smart way to do it.
And I think that's the way to go. And it gives us a real strong foundation. My board is terrific. We have a new board chair. His name is James Joseph. James is a matrimonial attorney, and he's just, we've known each other for a number of years. He actually worked part-time for EAC back in the day. He's great. I mean, we've got board members that have been with us for more than 20 years. That's extraordinary in and of itself.
Do you have term limits?
No. Not frankly. I mean,
You're happy in that way.
I'm
in
happy.
other agencies I work with, I wish they did.
Yeah. I mean, term limits to me, when one talks about a board, I don't see the value in that. I really don't. I mean, we renew or they re-up once every year, which is kind of an interesting way to play. So if an individual board member is not doing what he or she should be doing and or wants out, it's an easy way for them to get out. We've had a number of people. I had a woman who was a vice president at Nassau Community College. She was African American, an attorney, and in higher education.
Wow.
She was terrific. She was an old friend of mine, and she worked on the board, and I was thrilled to have her. She then moved to New Jersey, so she's not making board meetings anymore. She says, "Lance, I love you, but I can't do this anymore." And of course I recognize it, and I let her off the hook.
Tell me about your fundraisers.
Fundraising is it's been a bit of a challenge lately. It's a challenge, I think, for every not-for-profit. I think the event side which is the more public side of fundraising for not-for-profits, is the more difficult component. More difficult in the sense that everybody's out there trying to grasp, the pot of gold, whether it be doing golf outings or galas or anything along those lines. That's difficult. But at the same time as it may be difficult, you don't want to give it up. I mean, we're raising a couple $100,000 a year in that, but you don't want to give up the presence. It's almost part of your branding effort.
It's almost like you have a signature event when you have that
Correct.
event every year, and all of a sudden you don't do it, then you're giving another person another chance to do it. You have to do it in some way. We've seen, and I probably do about 20 events a year with my clients because they all have to do fundraisers, and we try to improve it every year and do different things to add to it. If you have a golf outing, I've seen some of the golf outings go from two courses to one course rather than lose it completely.
That's happened with us.
Yeah, and just, they charge a lot of money for it, but golf outings are tough to make money at.
Mm-hmm.
And they're so
you're paying the golf course.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you need to get sponsors. I mean, the sponsors are the whole key. You're not making money on the golfers because
Right.
you can't
Right.
make that much on them. So I've seen them, we had a helicopter golf ball drop where they dropped 100 golf balls, not 100, almost 1,000 golf balls, and they'd sell the golf balls for $25 a piece, and the helicopter would come by and drop the balls on the course. That took 2 minutes. And that's what, this was an agency that we took over about 3 years ago about doing their marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And what we've done is we've added casino night with it so that, hey, we're stopping during the casino and watching them drop the balls. They sell the balls for $25. So they're making a lot of the money off the balls. When you look at it, then you get sponsors for the evening. So we've made it into an event. The whole key that we see is to make it different. Somebody had a casino night, and we added a wine tasting to go with the casino night. And so it's a matter of adding a few other elements just to make it different. The annual gala is now a 3-hour cocktail hour instead of the gala because you don't want them sitting down. I mean, once you sit down, you're going to listen to the program again for an hour. How boring, So these are things you just have to keep changing.
Well, one of the things that we have been noted for, I think, is that every once in a while we change up our events. I mean, a significant change, not just adding to, but changing the event. We did, it sounds crazy, but we did for, I guess, around 3 years or so, we did an indoor golf outing.
Nice.
So during the winter, we went into a hotel.
I thought that was great.
It was a terrific idea.
Yeah, I remember you did that.
Then then people were getting tired of that, so then we went and we did an indoor cruise. How do you do an indoor cruise at the Garden City Hotel? Yeah,
nice.
Garden City Hotel.
Wow.
But it worked terrifically well. And you mentioned casino night. We're doing a casino night now.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to change because people get bored. They have a short attention span. I know I do.
You want it to be different.
You want it to be different
from the year before.
Exciting. People are engaged
because
by
they
it.
see it. I mean, I have an agency, not an agency, a vendor with a Beacon Group. I don't know if you work with them. They're a staffing company for the nonprofit field. No. I'll give you their name. And she said to me, because she serves about 25, 30 agencies, I send a foursome, but I'm bored with this already. How many times can
That's
I play
exactly
golf?
what
I want to
happens,
just do something different.
No
I mean,
question.
I like golf, so maybe it's the Twilight 9.
Yeah.
Give them 9 holes somewhere, and the golf courses would love to see you do it.
Yeah.
Play 9 and maybe do a casino with it or something else just to make it a little bit different.
Well, I think I agree with you 100%, and we're making it. We're going to make a change in one of our premier events. We're in the process of doing it, so I don't even want to discuss it at this point. But that's the key to get some excitement going, to engage new people. It's all about that. And
We just we're doing a golf outing and we signed an agreement with Trump for 5 years at their new course. So I mean, the Trump value and the Trump name.
What are you, an idiot? What are you?
Yeah, right. They're the name works, and maybe by the
exactly.
time they have the golf outing there, it'll be next year.
Yeah.
He'll either be president or
He'll be president, or he'll be
so maybe
playing
it'll
in
be
the golf
really
outing.
good.
You never know.
But people, that play golf, just say, "Oh, I'll play a Trump."
Well, we did an event for a couple of years at Deepdale, which is one of the premier courses on Long Island, and but it got to the point where the only reason we were doing the event was to pay them. So we got away from it. But boy, those guys that have the ability to pay that never played at Deepdale, were they were delirious. They were very excited by it.
Right.
So you have to change. I think one of the challenges that we face all the time also is that the variety of program that we have is part of the challenge of fundraising. For example, we have a number of programs in New York City, and we're challenged by what events do we do in there? What can we do in there to kind of engage people and raise some money? So what we did was, it took us a while. It took us a couple of years, but we were able to get involved with the New York City Half Marathon.
Oh, nice.
And it took us a while, and we got 7 people ran in that 2 years ago. And we had been rejected up until that point. We were rejected for the full marathon. Now, I'm sure you're aware that all of those marathons and everything that goes on in the city, people have to put up some big money.
Oh, without a doubt. But they do give agencies 5 slots.
They gave us 5, and we've actually picked up 2 more.
Wow.
For that, and then we applied for the New York City full marathon.
Oh, wow.
And we got 5 slots for that. Now that's even bigger money. That cost you about $3,300 to run. Now the way the marathons are set up is they have a pool, and once the pool's a public pool, once that's expended, then you have to go to the not-for-profits, and there's over 40 not-for-profits that are involved in that. And so we just had 5 people run, and that's $3,300 per runner.
Right.
So, and then
you
we're
have
going
to sell it for 10.
Yeah, you can sell.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's wonderful.
So then we there's another event called the 5-Borough Bike Tour, which is a lot less money, but we got 10 slots out of that. So that goes to help, in a significant way.
We are talking with Lance Elder. We're going to be talking with Rachel Lugo and Christopher Scalone in about 10 minutes on our second half of the show. I want to thank them for coming. I love talking to Lance Elder. Lance and I are really old friends and so close, but we have so much to talk about. But we're going to be talking about car seats and texting when we get back. This is Ron Gold from Marketing Works. The show is called The Nonprofit Voice. We'll be right back.